being made fools of and being ripped off, and they don't want to, have all these hard-working Chinese supporting the U.S. military machine, which will then be used against China.
Got it.
So something is happening, and there's been a fundamental change. The rule of the West is coming to an end. It's going to be the rule of the people of the planet, not just one ethnic group. I mean, that's what's happening. If you look at the UN, permanent council members, 4 out of the 5 are Europeans, and Europeans are only 17% of the world population. So
correct. Yeah.
Apartheid, global apartheid. And so the rest of the planet is saying, okay, you guys, under these moronic, Bush regime, have totally messed things up, and you've disqualified yourselves from ruling the planet, and we've got to change the way this planet is run. That's what the entire planet is coming to realize. Everyone's saying, we don't want you creating artificial wars anymore. We don't want you carrying out genocide. This is not the way we want this planet to run. And they've got to realize that their gig is up. It's over. It's finished. They just have to manage a smooth transition. It's a game over. They just haven't realized it yet, or they don't want to.
Well, we'll see. You've given them 48 hours to meet with you at the Fulford estate in Canada. We'll find out. We'll find out if there's a contact made in 48 hours. 800-259-9231. 800-259-9231 is our number here. In Texas, I think Mike is on the line. Are you there, Mike, holding?
Yes, good evening, Jeff. Thank you for taking my call, sir.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling.
Before we get started, is it correct that you used to work for the corporate media?
Well, I did, yes. Who are you talking to? Both?
Jeff.
Yeah, I was under contract to the premier radio networks, yes, for 5 years.
So you realized the game that how the corporate media and all that was.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now getting on to things, Ben, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah. Yep.
You talk about great things happening. I want to talk to you about what's happening to the south of the United States right now. And a few years ago, I visited Brazil and Argentina, and I tell you what, there's something quietly happening, and it's a very good change. The Brazilian people, the people from Argentina and Chile, are really turning progressive compared to what they were in the past dictatorships. Did you know about that?
Yeah, I know. I know. They're on to this whole Yankee game. They have been for a long time. They were the original victims of these people.
Well, Ben, and here's a little aside that will help make the point. I talked to a Brazilian once, and he laughed. He said one of the biggest jokes among Brazilians in the know is that they don't own their own country. It's owned by the Rockefellers and Rothschilds and the globalist World Bank.
Right, and they're getting fed up down there. I mean, and I talked to a couple of Brazilians, and, they don't want to see their environment destroyed. It's these transnational global corporations that are doing most of the deforestation in the Amazon. Most people don't realize that.
Yeah, look, it's not just the South Americans. If you really come down to it, we reach a situation where you just need a slight spark, and you'll find that the Africans, the South Americans, the Muslims, the people in India and China and Japan, Russia, everywhere are saying, hey, you guys, enough is enough. We're tired of what you're doing to this planet. And it's just a matter of everybody just saying, okay, stop. And it's coming.
And do you think, in your opinion, sir, that the U.S. military will do the stupidest thing and attack Iran? In your opinion, do you think that's going to happen?
Well, I hope they learn from the German military. They one by one, they let Hitler fire generals until suddenly they all had to do exactly what Hitler said.
Right.
Hitler was wildly popular in his time before the war started. Now, by contrast, the Bush regime is wildly unpopular. And if they let them fire generals one by one until they get a bunch of yes men, then they'll go down in history books as great idiots and villains. And I believe that they're smart enough and honorable enough to know that their first loyalty is to the American people and to the Constitution.
Well, let's hope so. You made a very good point, and a lot of people continue to try to equate the current status and configuration of the United States geopolitically with Germany in the 1930s, and there really is no comparison at all to be made that I can see. It's absurd. It's the opposite in many ways. There are a few overt parallels, but Germany under the Treaty of Versailles was a nation in pillory, being punished continually. It was a whole different situation. Anyway, if you'd like
Jeff,
to hold on.
Do you think they're going to attack Iran, in your opinion?
They want to.
Do I think they will be? Do I think they will be ordered to attack Iran by the globalists, by the 17% of the planet, the Europeans, where these power centers, the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds are located? Do I think that's going to happen? It looks like 50-50 at this point. We will see. All right, stand by. You're welcome to another question, Mike, if you'd like. After the break, we have to pause for just a few minutes, and we'll be back with Benjamin Fulford. Okay, right back with all of you, and Mike in Texas. One more question, Mike, if you have one.
Sure, and thanks for letting me hold over the break. I appreciate that. The other question is, in this new era of peace, Ben, that do you think we're going to continue to see more improvements in curing diseases and medicine and healthcare? And finally, the Japanese, it seems like there's no poverty over there almost because the workers and the corporate leaders, the gap is not as big. Go ahead and answer those two questions.
Sure. I mean, I think that most disease can be eliminated. The international medicine companies need disease in order to make profit.
Right.
The traditional Asian system was that if the patient was sick, then the doctor stopped getting money. So they had an incentive to make sure nobody ever got sick.
That's fascinating. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, so, you change the way the financial system is rigged, you can give the incentives for the corporations to eliminate disease. It'll be gone in no time.
We have the ability to cure most disease, to prevent most disease right now.
Yeah, so it's just a poor system that makes, gives incentive to create disease to the companies, and that's obviously got to change. Now, the Japanese, the gap between the lowest employee and the chairman in income was something like 20 times for years, and in the U.S. it's like 400 times. But the Americans have been trying to force the Japanese government to put in policies that will create huge income gaps, and they have. Young people are finding it hard to get lifetime employment. They're forced into low-pay, dead-end jobs, and they're very unhappy. There's a huge sort of disaffected youth movement here because they've been offered just junk jobs, and that's because of the Americans twisting the Japanese arm, and the Japanese don't like it. They had a system that worked, and they had a system where everybody was middle class, and the Americans are trying to destroy it, and that's not going to be allowed to continue.
I'm very optimistic about that. Gentlemen, y'all have a good night, and thank you for taking my call.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks very much. Thanks. Okay, still time for some of you to get in here on the phones if you'd like to talk to Benjamin Fulford. 800-259-9231. Taiwan.
Yeah.
Those 17% of the planet, the Europeans that are controlling much of what goes on in the world, what are they going to do about stopping China from turning Taiwan into Hong Kong, too, if they want to?
Well, they can't. I mean, I think that ultimately their big plan was to get the Japanese military and the U.S. military and the NATO military all in tune and then pick a fight over Taiwan, force a referendum in Taiwan, and then pick a fight with China and crush China. But that's not going to happen. And, the Taiwanese do not want to be under the communist rule. They really do not want that. But I do believe that there can be a compromise where they can live as they've always lived and just change flags. But, this is not something, I don't think the Chinese are going to be so stupid as to let them be provoked into a war. And if they are, it'll be on their terms. I mean, they can already sink U.S. aircraft carriers. Those things are giant white elephants.
They're incredible. They're floating iron graveyards. And by the way, they're full of nuclear bombs and radiation too. Yeah, they're amazing. They're obsolete. You're right. They can be taken out with hypersonic cruise missiles. People who study military armaments know it.
Yeah, and then the Americans are so reliant on their satellites, and those can be punched out, as the Chinese pointed out, with a missile.
Blinded, and they've already apparently done so. The Chinese have developed weapon systems to do that, and yes.
The Russians have these systems, so
sure.
The U.S. military is really a paper tiger. They don't realize it. And the other thing is, I mean, look what happened just a little country like Iraq. How the hell are they going to invade China or India or something? They cannot.
Well, no chance. Not going to happen. And they're not going to run an aircraft carrier, a super carrier group in between Taiwan, run them down the Straits of Taiwan or wherever, and stop China from literally devouring Taiwan in days. It just won't happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So, their whole